Hello there, we're going to look at the 3.06 lesson today, so let's begin. I do want to point something out. Please note that when you look at the daily checklist for this activity, for this today's lesson, it's not going to give you page numbers to look at, but you should read in the textbook. If you look over here, it does say pages 226 through 227. So we will be going through that here today, but let's get started with 306 in the beginning. Lesson introduction. Lewis and Clark are two men whose names are almost synonymous with the exploration of the western United States. Who were they? How and when did their expedition begin? Where did they go? Who helped them get there? What did they find? Figure this out as you translate their historical expedition into a modern gaming experience. Next page. Review the goals for this lesson. Recognize the significance of the Louisiana Purchase in increasing the size of the country and guaranteeing control of the Mississippi River. Identify major physical features of the Louisiana Territory and the states made from it. And analyze maps for information on the Lewis and Clark expedition. And here's the daily checklist where it should have page numbers, but it doesn't. It just says complete the game with no name graded assignment, your 3.06 graded assignment. Okay, so before we do that though, let's go through the reading on the Lewis and Clark expedition in the textbook. And that starts with right here on page 226, Lewis and Clark and the Cora Discovery. Most Americans, including Jefferson himself, knew almost nothing about the vast new territory they had suddenly acquired. To remedy that, Jefferson gave two young military officers, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, an ambitious mission. They were to set off westward to explore the land and to attempt to locate the Northwest Passage, an all-water route linking the Atlantic to the Pacific. They were to map the regions they passed through, describe the plants and animals they saw, and make alliances with the Indian tribes they encountered. All these actions were intended to lay the foundation for future American settlement. With a company of soldiers that came to be known as the Corps of Discovery, Lewis and Clark set out from St. Louis in May 1804, sailing in small boats up the Missouri River. As they crossed the future states of Missouri and Nebraska, South and North Dakota, Clark made maps while Lewis kept detailed notes on plants and animal life. Lewis was intrigued to come across strange new animals like coyotes and prairie dogs, which he called barking squirrels. Twice Lewis was attacked and nearly killed by grizzly bears, which, as he noted, were far more aggressive and dangerous than the black bears of the East. For the most part, however, Lewis recorded his sheer wonder at the wildlife of the Great Plains. I ascended to the top of the Cut Bluff this morning, from whence I had a most delightful view of immense herds of buffalo, elk, deer, and antelope feeding on one common and boundless pasture. Lewis and Clark brought along small gifts, medals, scissors, mirrors, to distribute among the Native Americans they met. They declared that the settlers who followed them would come in peace, wanting only to trade with the Indians. For the most part, the Indians they met were receptive, although hostilities nearly broke out when a group of Sioux felt insulted by the paltriness of the explorers' gifts. The expedition spent the winter of 1804 through 05 as neighbors of an especially hospitable tribe, the Mandans. In a nearby village, Lewis and Clark met Sacagawea, the young wife of a Canadian trader. Sacagawea, who belonged to the Shoshone tribe with its homeland in the Rocky Mountains, agreed to be the Americans' guide and interpreter as they proceeded west. In May 1805, the members of the expedition came in within sight of the Rockies. Lewis recorded that his pleasure at the sight of the towering snow-covered peaks was balanced by his realization of how hard they would be to cross. By now, the expedition had discovered that there was no easy water route across the American continent. By the time they crossed the Rockies, the members of the expedition were exhausted and weakened by hunger and disease. We suffered everything, Lewis later wrote, everything that cold, hunger, and fatigue could impart. But their spirits rose as they made their way down the Columbia River toward the Pacific Ocean. On a misty day in early November 1805, they heard the sound of surf breaking against the rocks. Then the mist cleared and Clark scribbled in his journal, "Ocean view, oh the joy." They had reached the Pacific and fulfilled their mission. When Lewis and Clark returned the following year, Jefferson was disappointed to learn that the explorers had not found the Northwest Passage waterway. But he was delighted with Clark for having filled in the map of America's new territories, and with Lewis for describing their plant and animal life in such captivating detail. It would remain for future waves of pioneers, in Jefferson's words, to fill up the canvas we begin. And now, okay, so if we go back here to the assignment, we'll continue forth. Oh, that's the beyond the lesson part, which we don't need right now. So let's go back. So we need to complete the graded assignment. So let's go back and find that assignment. Let's go to lesson resources here, and not here either. Hold on a jiff. We'll find it eventually, won't we? All right, let's continue. Here we are, just had to go back or go further up. Okay, so here we go. Graded assignment game with no name. We open that up. And let's take a look at the graded assignment, a game with no name. So if we look at it here, let's look at the directions. A friend of yours would like to capture the adventures of Lewis and Clark in a video game, but she needs your help. She wants the game to be awarded top 10 kudos like Mario Brothers, etc. Read all the directions first and follow them carefully to get this new expedition rolling. So in essence, you're doing research to help your friend develop a video game, a pretend video game on Lewis and Clark. Okay, so you're doing video game research. How fun is that? So for the first part, you have to evaluate each of the following websites and choose the 3 that provide the best explanation and description of the expedition. Explain each of your choices, and that's the important part there. Explain. So if you're picking this one, and this one, then you have to write that down here and then explain why you felt they were the best, and provide the best explanation and description of the expedition. The next question, write a 2 or 3 sentence description for each website you selected in question 1. Be sure to highlight its most informative features. So for number 1, you're explaining why you thought they were the best choices. What websites that you found were the best. And in part 2, you're going in, or excuse me, number 2, you're going in more in depth, the most informative features of the ones you chose above. So you're just going more in depth now for question 2. Now for question 3, suggest 3 possible game names that are both exciting and descriptive. So here's where you get just to have fun. You know, you might say Lewis and Clark or Journey in the Unknown. Or you can make it something more fun than that. You know, just be creative or come up with a name, but yet don't spend 3 hours trying to come up with 3 names. Just do your best there for some names that describe the Lewis and Clark expedition that would reflect that. For example, if you want to say, call your game Apples to Apples, well, that's not really going to work. That's a game, right? But not anything about Lewis and Clark. So it has to still fit within the context of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Okay, next. Here are some other websites your friend could check in order to get information about the expedition. Which 2 would you recommend first and why? So kind of the same thing you did earlier. It's just that they're different websites. Then, what 5 characters should be included in the game and why? You should name and describe each character and their role. You must include at least 1 Native American and 1 woman on your list. And it could be a Native American woman too. Hint, hint. And make sure that you describe the character and their role. That's an area where I find students mess up on. They might just list 5 people and not say what they do. You're probably going to pick Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. I bet you there's going to be 2 of your 5 characters, right? But just don't say they're a leader. No, there's more that they did than that. And that's described in the lesson reading. It's also described in the websites you're going to look at. So be sure that you're looking for what they actually did. One of these websites, I don't remember right now without looking at all of them, does have a nice list of characters, and you can find that information right there. It makes it really slick and nice to get that information there. So that is the graded assignment. When you're done, you submit it to the graded assignment Dropbox, and you'll have that complete, and hopefully you'll earn the full 50 points. Thanks a lot and have a great day.